Hello, and welcome to Dreamy Tales, a sanctuary where everyone can experience calm and a touch of magic before gently drifting into sleep. Tonight, we invite you on another enchanting journey, a story that helps soothe the mind and nurture a sense of peace. Before we begin, let's take a moment to prepare our bodies and minds for a comforting, restorative rest. Make yourself cozy, and with each slow inhale and long exhale, let the cares of the day gradually slip away. It's not always easy to step back from the day's demands, especially as night falls. Yet, remember, the less we worry about how quickly we'll fall asleep, the simpler it is for our minds to release any remaining tension. Allow the gentle flow of your breathing to wash away lingering concerns, and let the story ahead guide you into a state of deep relaxation. Now, settle in, and let the dreamy atmosphere softly wrap around you. Enjoy this story, and may you drift into a peaceful, restful slumber here on Dreamy Tales.
In the crepuscular hush of a forgotten hour, you find yourself before a library, an edifice breathing antiquity, steeped in an aura palpably arcane. This monolith of knowledge bears a name whispered on currents of myth, the Library of Time. Let us venture within, drawn by the silent promise of chronicles, held captive by the night. Before the twin portals, the air thickens with the resinous perfume of aged timber, their surfaces gleaming like polished obsidian. Intricate carvings frame each vast mahogany leaf, a serpentine knot weaving without cessation, a pattern echoing eternity, rendered starkly beautiful against the deep grain. Compelled, a hand lifts, tracing the labyrinthine pathways that coil and uncoil beneath your fingertips. Where the doors converge, a singular image dominates, a woman etched into the wood, regal and fierce. A circlet rests upon her brow, framing a cascade of untamed curls that seem to writhe with latent energy. One hand grips a formidable spear, the other is lifted, a gesture of unyielding defiance. She commands a magnificent chariot, its paired stallions captured mid-rear, muscles taut, nostrils flared. As your fingers brush the carving, a phantom whinny seems to echo in the wood's depths. Who is this sovereign figure, you muse? And what sagas slumber beyond these ancient sentinels? A surge of anticipation guides your hand to the cool brass handle. With a sighing groan, the immense doors yield, parting just enough to admit you. You stand poised on the cusp of immensity. White marble, cool and veined, stretches before you, reflecting the intricate geometry of a coffered ceiling high above. Stone walls ascend, punctuated by stained glass windows depicting scenes lost to memory. Daylight, though absent outside, streams through these panes internally, casting kaleidoscopic patterns that waltz across the floor. You advance across the polished expanse, beneath the spectral radiance of a chandelier dripping crystal tears. Its gentle luminescence illuminates two grand curving staircases flanking a burnished gold plaque. Drawn closer, you decipher the engraved script, murmuring the words, "Welcome to the Library of Time." Only souls alight with insatiable curiosity discover this threshold. Each volume herein is a conduit to disparate ages, divergent realms. Whilst immersed in bygone eras, you shall remain unseen, unheard. The past, immutable, cannot be altered. It offers only wisdom, and wisdom you shall glean. Could this be truth? The thought flickers, a spark in the quiet awe. A smile touches your lips as you ascend the spiraling stairwell. Gradually, the second floor unfurls. Endless corridors of bookshelves demarcated by stately marble columns. Every shelf groans under the weight of countless volumes. Ancient bindings exuding that familiar, intoxicating perfume of dust, leather, and latent magic. After a sweeping gaze, your steps veer rightward, snagged by a particular spine. Forest green, it mirrors the shade of deep woods, its binding edged with the same endless knot from the doors below. No title adorns its considerable width, only a stark date. 60 CE. Easing it from its neighbors, you're struck by the unexpected velvety nap of its cover, its surprising lightness. You proceed onward, navigating the towering aisles where columns kiss the vaulted ceiling. A gentle luminescence beckons from a secluded alcove. There, nestled directly beneath a circular skylight, lies a haven of cushions. Some echo the deep viridian of your chosen book, glowing like unearthed emeralds in the focused beam. Others are adorned with a vibrant green tartan, interwoven with threads of azure, alabaster, and crimson. Settle into the plush embrace, the soft wool a welcome texture. Comfort secured, your focus returns to the tome. The crisp rustle of turning pages accompanies the opening lines. In 43 CE, the ascendant Emperor Valerius, hungry to broaden the formidable reach of the imperial eagle, cast his ambitions toward the long-coveted Isle of Britannia, inhabited since the Age of Iron by disparate tribes, migrants, it's believed, from the continent history would later label Celtica. The island pulsed with distinct cultures. Though posterity clumps them under the banner of Celts, vast chasms existed between tribes, unique kingdoms, tongues, rites, and legacies. A shared trait, however, was their renown as ferocious combatants. Yet, even their ferocity proved inadequate against the disciplined might of the imperial legions. At Valerius's decree, 40,000 soldiers stormed Britannia's southeastern shores, subjugating the eastern tribes with calculated efficiency. Subsequently, many tribal chieftains faced a stark choice: collaborate with the conquerors or perish resisting. Among these was the sovereign of the Eastern Coritani tribe, who governed as an autonomous ally of the empire. Like numerous neighbors in the lands now known as Norfolk and Suffolk, his people engaged in trade with the Imperials, tentatively weaving the first threads of a Romano-British tapestry. Peace reigned, a fragile bloom destined for a swift blight. Upon the king's demise, his realm was willed jointly to his two daughters and the Roman emperor. His consort, Queen Morrigan, assumed sole leadership of the Coritani. Within Celtic society, a woman could ascend to such authority. To the Imperials, however, female rule was anathema. unworthy of recognition or respect. Thus, they nullified existing treaties, annexing the kingdom, seizing Coritani lands by force. But underestimating Morrigan proved a fatal miscalculation. She manifested as a fearsome adversary, a leader of sharp intellect and potent charisma. She rallied neighboring tribes, forging an alliance against the shared oppressor, the Imperials. Ignited by the fires of vengeance, Morrigan orchestrated a devastatingly effective revolt. Her influence swelled with each strategic victory, culminating in a final, cataclysmic battle where she commanded an astonishing host of 230,000 warriors. Ultimately, Morrigan and the unified tribes could not halt the relentless imperial annexation of Britannia, a process that would span another 4 decades. Yet, she imparted a profound lesson, one that reverberated through the empire's supposedly unshakable foundations. As one imperial chronicler lamented, "All this devastation was wrought upon us by a woman, a reality that inflicted upon us the deepest humiliation." The name Morrigan, sometimes rendered Morrigu, derives from ancient Celtic roots signifying Great Queen, or perhaps Phantom Queen, associated with fate and sovereignty. Despite her eventual defeat, her legend resonates with a victory transcending mortal outcomes. To this day, she endures as the warrior queen who dared defy the most formidable military machine the world had known. You pause, inhaling deeply. What a chronicle, you reflect. Setting the book gently aside, you lace your fingers behind your head, gazing upward through the atrium glass. Your thoughts drift back to the library doors, to the carved figure, crowned woman, spear aloft, arm raised, wild hair streaming. Allowing your eyes to close for just a breath, a peculiar sensation envelops you. Initially, it's a profound sinking into the plush, evergreen depths beneath. Then, an impossible lightness, as if buoyed on unseen currents, drifting through time and space toward a locus simultaneously familiar and utterly unknown. Eyes fluttering open, you behold the same figure, the one from the library door. A waking dream, you assume. But then, impossibly, the image shifts. The wood grain surrenders to pigment. The queen's visage and form bloom with life, adorned with vivid whirls of woad blue battle paint. Her hair ignites, a fiery crimson mane. Her gown becomes a rich green tartan, startlingly similar to the patterned cushions. The chariot she commands gleams gold, pulled by steeds of deep chestnut brown. You are utterly captivated by the warrior queen's resplendent presence, the thaumaturgy unfolding before you. Looking down, you find your feet planted on damp earth. Cool, untainted air fills your lungs. The panorama is one of English countryside from millennia past. A tremor enters the air, a vibration of sound and motion. Behind the magnificent horses, her golden chariot rolls toward you, catching the sunlight. She circles the clearing once, then again, her poise unwavering despite the uneven terrain. Her wild torrent of red hair writhes in the breeze, teasing her features. Her tartan cloak billows, secured at her throat by a gleaming gold brooch. A faint, knowing smile plays on her lips as she passes. Finally, the horses slow and Morrigan halts her glorious conveyance mere meters away. Close now, her stature is even more commanding. Tall, imposing, every inch the warrior queen. Her face, a canvas of swirling sapphire designs, turns in your direction. For a heartbeat, you wonder if she perceives you, but her piercing green eyes, sharp as emerald shards, slide past, looking through you as if you were mere air. The plaque's decree echoes. In the past, you will neither be seen nor heard. How extraordinary you realize to possess a front row vantage utterly unnoticed. With this understanding, an internal tension releases. Your shoulders settle. Your limbs feel unbound, ethereal. You follow as the queen descends from her chariot and strides forward. Only now do you truly absorb your surroundings. You stand atop a massive earthwork hill, a hill fort, the defensible heart of an Iron Age Brittonic community. Your gaze sweeps across the settlement, largely encircled by a high timber palisade, enhancing the inherent security of the elevated position. From this vantage, you command a hawk's eye view of the sprawling, verdant landscape stretching beyond the walls. Directly below the fort, cattle, sheep, goats, and pigs graze within fenced enclosures, tended by diligent figures. A substantial crop field lies adjacent, where numerous people toil. Men guide wooden plows, drawn by immense, deliberate oxen, scoring straight furrows into the dark soil. Further off, a thin ribbon of blue glimmers beneath the horizon. You must be on Britannia's eastern coast, the Coritani heartland. The water, then, is the vast German Ocean, or perhaps what the Imperials termed the Narrow Sea. Even at this distance, its rhythmic, placid waves seem a familiar greeting. A crisp, saline tang perfumes the air. For a moment, you stand mesmerized, drinking it all in. Your focus eventually returns to the life bustling within the hill fort. Here, the air vibrates with the industry of many hands and feet, punctuated by bursts of conversation. Dwellings, roundhouses, dot the landscape, their walls constructed from wattle and daub, earth, or stone, capped with conical thatched roofs of reed. Some boast animal companions lounging on sun-drenched patches of grass. Others feature small vegetable plots, rows of sturdy cabbages and corn reaching for the intermittent sunlight. You wander into the settlement's core, flanked by roundhouses. The sounds of existence intensify. People move purposefully, immersed in their daily rhythms, oblivious to your spectral presence. Men wear simple tunics cinched with belts. Women are clad in floor-length dresses. Both favor tartan cloaks, displaying the same crisscross pattern in familiar shades worn by the queen, the very design that adorned the library cushions. You marvel at the quality, the vibrancy of the colors, the precision of the weave. As if summoned by your thoughts, you pass a group of women engaged in that exact craft. Near a roundhouse entrance, a young woman stirs woolen threads in a barrel of liquid, the gentle sloshing reminiscent of the distant sea. Leaning closer, you see the liquid is a deep, intense blue, and catch the faint, sweet scent of crushed woad leaves, perhaps, or blueberries. Beside her, another woman stands before a tall wooden loom, already threaded with dyed yarns of green, white, red, and blue. With practiced dexterity and unwavering focus, she passes the shuttle back and forth, weaving the intricate pattern. It seems incredible that artisans 2 millennia past could create such flawless, beautiful textiles. You witness firsthand their resourcefulness, their talent, the quiet dignity of their labor. Evidence of the tribe's industriousness surrounds you. From the adjacent roundhouse emanates the rhythmic clang of Iron Age metalworking. Drawn by the sound, you step inside to find artisans amidst their craft. One carefully heats a crucible of gold over a crackling fire before pouring the molten liquid into a large circular mold. Nearby, another hammers a cooled strip of gold flat, the repetitive clink-clank setting a steady beat. A third undertakes the most intricate task, yet his expression remains serene. Using specialized iron and leather tools, he hammers flattened gold strips around a circular form, coaxing them into complex twists and turns. The stunning result emerges: a coiled golden neck ring, a torque fit for Koritani nobility. You've never encountered jewelry of such raw, potent beauty. Wandering onward, you pass more roundhouses, glimpsing diverse scenes within and without. Metalworkers forge shields and swords, preparing for conflict. Children practice with wooden slingshots, aiming at makeshift targets. An elderly woman sits cross-legged before a large pottery wheel, spinning it with a wooden stick. Her wet hands expertly shape the amorphous clay at its center, coaxing it into an elegant bowl. You linger, finding the peaceful, focused activity strangely calming. The air here is delightful, cool, invigorating, carrying a tantalizing undercurrent. Following the mouth-watering aroma past dwellings, you arrive at a particularly large, well-constructed roundhouse. Its prominence suggests its significance, soon confirmed. This is the residence of the Koritani Queen herself. Stepping across the threshold, you enter a warm, inviting space, heated by a central fire pit sunk into the earthen floor. Thick plumes of smoke ascend, escaping through an opening in the thatched roof overhead, leaving behind only the rich scent of cooking food. Luxurious furs line the floor. Reaching down, you feel their surprising softness. More furs are arranged amongst piles of clean, golden straw, bedding, you deduce, for the warrior queen and her daughters. And there they are, seated around the hearth. The queen ladles a fragrant meat stew from a cauldron suspended over the flames. Bowls are filled with tender chunks of meat and vibrant, fresh vegetables. Impulsively, you imagine taking a ladle, a bowl, helping yourself, sitting amongst them on the furs. The stew, you envision, bursts with colorful homegrown leeks, cabbage, parsnips, and carrots. You can almost taste the rich, hearty flavor, detect the tang of wild garlic and parsley. It's a meal promising comfort, warmth, evoking notions of family, of home. Beside you, unseen, Morrigan and her daughters finish their meal, placing empty bowls on a low wooden table. They retrieve goblets filled with homemade mead, sipping contentedly. The air sweetens with the scent of honey. They converse easily, sharing anecdotes from their day, their faces illuminated by the fire's flickering glow. Morrigan wears a golden torque, even more magnificent than the one you saw being crafted. Multiple bands braid around its heavy, ornate base, the terminals intricately worked with endless knots. Her vivid blue war paint is gone. Her tartan cloak hung neatly on the wall. In the firelight, the warrior queen appears even more striking. Her hair is a riot of fiery curls, her penetrating eyes gleaming like polished emeralds. The formidable spirit within her is palpable, yet now softened by a tenderness, a maternal warmth previously unseen. She is undeniably the warrior queen, but here, in the sanctuary of her home, she is also a devoted mother. The girls chatter about their day within the fort's confines, while Morrigan recounts tales from her journeys further afield. Her eyes sparkle, reflecting the firelight glinting off the shields and swords leaning against the roundhouse walls. Her words seem to buoy the spirits in the room. Quietly listening, you overhear her telling her daughters of her plans: to convene with leaders of neighboring tribes, to persuade them to unite with the Koratani. Then she declares with calm certainty, stroking her eldest daughter's hair, she will vanquish the imperial foe for her girls, for all her people. What an immense privilege to witness this intimate scene. A profound sense of ease and contentment settles over you. Little do you suspect that the descending night holds further, gentler marvels. Noticing the deepening twilight through the roof opening, Morrigan leads her daughters outside. They lie side by side on the cool grass nearby. Joining them, unseen, you tilt your gaze upward, mirroring theirs into a night sky ablaze with stars. You recall the Celts' deep reverence for the cosmos, listening as they discuss the shifting patterns, the celestial alignments, their voices hushed, melodic. Morrigan points towards the steadfast North Star, the destination, she explains, for Celtic souls in the afterlife, reached by ascending the spiraling star stairway beneath it. Here, on the grass, the night air a cool caress against your face, you feel utterly at peace. Allowing your eyes to drift closed, you register again that extraordinary lightness, a sense of floating, being gently drawn back through time and space, returning to the library where this odyssey commenced. The glass expanse of the atrium now interposes itself between you and the star-dusted heavens. The green beneath you is no longer grass, but the plush velvet of cushions. Resting on a tartan pillow beside you lies your book, fallen open to an illustration of the warrior queen and her daughters. A faint smile touches your lips. The image, you think, captures but a shadow of her true, formidable grace. The reality was far more potent. Closing the volume, you surrender fully to the soft cushions, allowing your thoughts to settle alongside them. And then, enveloped by the library's ancient silence, you drift into a profound and dream-filled slumber. Stillness settled, a welcome quiet after the day's sensory cascade. Now, let the canals carry us. We drift towards Venice, towards Ilara, adrift herself in this city of water and stone for the very first time, Within the sun-warmed walls of her hostel room, Ilara stood bathed in the amber light slanting through the window, a figure momentarily lost to the world outside. Her friend, Clara, moved around her, deft fingers weaving the final strands of Ilara's hair into place. But Ilara's thoughts were elsewhere, snagged on a moment spun from the morning's vibrant chaos. A memory replayed, the cobblestones of a bustling market street rushing up to meet her, a stumble, a gasp, and then strong hands steadying her, pulling her back from the brink. She'd found herself unexpectedly caught, held for a breathless second in the arms of a stranger. Dark hair framed a face sculpted by Venetian light, eyes the startling green of sea glass catching the sun. Matteo, he'd introduced himself, his voice a low current beneath the market's chatter. In that instant, the clamor of vendors, the kaleidoscope of shoppers, the very air around them seemed to thin, leaving only the two of them suspended in an unforeseen pause. It felt scripted, cinematic. Ilara had braced for the polite disengagement, the courteous nod before he melted back into the crowd. Instead, he lingered, a question forming in those emerald eyes, and then, astonishingly, asked her to join him later. Right there, thrilled, electrified, Ilara heard herself agreeing, even suggesting that very evening, the words tumbling out before conscious thought could catch them. A slow grin spread across Matteo's face. Her number exchanged, a promise made. Just like that, a date woven into the fabric of this most impossible, most romantic of cities. Venice. The name itself had always been an incantation for Ilara, whispered since childhood, synonymous with adventure, with La Bella Vita. She remembered the first photographs, portals opening onto a world impossibly beautiful. The curve of the Grand Canal, the intricate lace of Gothic facades. It seemed less a real place than a shimmering mirage conjured from water and dreams. She'd vowed then, a small girl tracing canals on a map, that one day she would glide through those liquid streets, breathe the air thick with history and salt, witness the ancient stone palaces rising sheer from the waterways. An allure, potent and persistent, had pulled her across oceans, a magnetic field of mystery and romance that had only intensified over the years. And now, impossibly, she was here. Not just here, but poised on the edge of an evening with Matteo. The sheer wonder of it threatened to overwhelm her. Anchoring her was Clara, steadfast, enthusiastic. The moment Ilara had burst back into their room, breathless with the story, Clara had shifted into mission mode, orchestrating the transformation from traveler to enchantress. Early evening light now filled the room. Ilara laughed, watching Clara sift through the carefully curated selection of clothes Ilara had packed. A whirlwind of decisions followed. Which dress whispered romance without shouting? How much makeup spoke of allure, not artifice? Hair up or down? Which shoes could possibly navigate cobblestones with grace? Every angle considered. As Ilara slipped into possibilities, a flicker of doubt surfaced. Should I push it back? She mused aloud. Give us time to settle? Explore together first? Clara, pausing mid-motion with a pair of delicate gold sandals, shook her head decisively. Absolutely not. This is serendipity, Ilara. Written in the stars, or maybe just the Venetian cobblestones. A warm smile softened her insistence. Besides, she confessed, flopping dramatically onto the nearest bed. I wouldn't want to be the third wheel on Destiny's gondola. And honestly, the jet lag is winning. A quiet night with a book sounds like heaven. Alara saw the genuine fatigue clouding her friend's eyes. Decision made. Clara would rest. Alara would embrace the unexpected. A quick text confirmed their plans. Mateo's reply was instantaneous. On my way. Prepare for a night to remember. A tight hug for Clara, a final glance in the mirror. Alice's handiwork framed her face beautifully. The simple teal silk dress, almost left behind, now felt preordained, its color a perfect counterpoint to her fair hair and warm brown eyes. For a fleeting moment, she felt regal, a princess stepping into her own fairy tale. The dress, simple yet undeniably elegant. The shoes, Clara had initially championed strappy black heels, but practicality and the memory of Venice's endless winding paths had prevailed. Gold sandals it was. Comfort was key to losing oneself willingly in the labyrinthine beauty ahead. The clock ticked closer. Purse retrieved, a wave to Clara already burrowing into pillows, a promise to recount every detail. Alara stepped into the hallway, the door clicking softly shut behind her. Down the stairs she went, heart fluttering with anticipation. Would he be waiting just outside? Passing through the reception area, the hostel owner offered a warm, crinkling smile. Ilara returned it, buoyed by the effortless cheerfulness she'd encountered everywhere. Living here, she mused, must infuse one's very soul with light. Then she pushed open the heavy wooden door and stepped out. It was like crossing a threshold into another era. No cars snarled, only the soft scuff of footsteps on stone accompanied the murmur of pedestrians drifting past shuttered market stalls. Their hostel nestled near the historic Rialto Market, a beating heart on the Grand Canal's western bank. Centuries of commerce echoed here, the air still faintly scented with the ghosts of morning fish and produce, though now, in the evening calm, the vibrant chaos had subsided. The relative quiet made him easy to spot. Standing near the entrance, a bouquet of blushing roses, reds and pinks vibrant against the twilight, held loosely in one hand. Mateo, looking impossibly dapper, a spark of shared excitement igniting in his eyes as they met hers. He stepped forward as she approached. The flowers were offered, a gorgeous cluster whose perfume rose, sweet and intoxicating, as Alara drew them close. Words tumbled out from both of them simultaneously, a brief, nervous collision of greetings that dissolved into shared laughter. She thanked him, admiring the blooms. The choice was simple, Mateo murmured, his gaze holding hers. For a name as lovely as the woman who bears it. He offered his arm, a gesture both courtly and natural. Together they began to walk, melting into the flow of the evening. As they moved, Mateo's voice, a lilting melody against the city's hum, began to paint Venice in words. Alara found herself captivated, wanting only to listen. Imagine, he began, his hand gesturing expansively, a crescent lagoon cradling over 100 islands, stitched together by some 400 bridges. No roads, you see, only canals, maybe 150 of them, all feeding the Grand Canal, our main artery. He described its serpentine curve, an S of deep blue ribboning through the terracotta city, a vital contrast. Perhaps, he mused, the only city on Earth where water is the primary thoroughfare. He spoke of the palaces flanking these waterways, Gothic and Renaissance facades dreaming by the water's edge, of domes and bell towers adorned with frescoes and marble, whispering tales of opulence. Every stone here has a story, Matteo said, his eyes alight with affection for his home. Venice is unique, a marvel of architecture and water, and tonight, a flourish of his hand, we explore its soul. Alara smiled. You're quite the guide, she admitted. Your passion is infectious. I'm even more excited now. Arm in arm they ambled on. Venice, Matteo declared, was a city for walking, for losing oneself deliberately, and for romance especially, he added with a twinkle, aboard a gondola. He spoke of the iconic boat, its sleek black form a globally recognized symbol. Alara nodded, picturing the countless images she'd pored over. Nothing compares, Matteo insisted, to gliding through the canals at twilight, the gondolier's song drifting on the air. After dinner, perhaps? Ilara ventured. Matteo winked. Already part of the plan. A visit isn't complete without it. They turned into a narrow back street, the air suddenly rich with the savory promise of Italian kitchens. Above, the sky deepened, blushing a vibrant fuchsia as the sun dipped lower. Matteo pointed out churches faced with priceless marble, elegant merchant houses stacked 3 or 4 stories high, testament to the maritime wealth that built this improbable city. Ilara gazed, entranced by the sheer density, the verticality of even modest buildings clinging to the water's edge. She'd lost her bearings completely, adrift in a sea of stunning vistas and historical whispers. She knew their hostel was near the Rialto market, but beyond that, she was happily lost. Then, ahead, a colossal structure arched into the twilight, spanning the water with 3 walkways, its stone bulk softened by twinkling lights. A bridge, but clearly not just any bridge. She looked at Matteo, whose smile confirmed her unspoken question. The Ponte di Rialto, he announced softly, one of the most famous bridges in the world. Ilara simply stared, momentarily speechless, the sheer scale and beauty stealing her breath. Matteo recounted its history, the original wooden structure succumbing to time and fire, the 16th century contest for its stone replacement. Names like Michelangelo had been floated, but Antonio da Ponte, Anthony of the Bridge, fittingly, a local architect, had won the commission. Mesmerized, they ascended the wide steps towards the bridge's bustling central span. Reaching the balustrade, Alara stopped, gripping the cool stone railing, and looked out. The view unfurled before her, the Grand Canal, wide and majestic, mirroring the deepening sky. It was the image from countless postcards, the quintessential Venetian vista, yet infinitely more potent in person. Brightly colored palazzi with their terracotta roofs lined the waterway, a vibrant tapestry alive with boats, sleek water taxis, working barges, and the unmistakable silhouettes of gondolas slicing through the blue-green water. Matteo pointed out the larger vessel idling near the bank, the Vaporetto, Venice's water bus. Little steamer. He translated the name, a nod to its ancestors. In a city of canals, such transport felt utterly logical. They watched a couple step onto the gently rocking vaporetto, aided by a fellow passenger before it pulled away, rejoining the canal's fluid traffic. The Grand Canal pulsed with life. Looking down, they saw gondoliers serenading their passengers as they passed beneath the massive arches of the Rialto. Ilara leaned her arms on the railing, absorbing the scene. Matteo stood beside her, a comfortable silence falling between them as they watched the ceaseless ballet of boats below. La Serenissima, the most serene. The nickname felt profoundly true in this moment, Ilara thought. Laughter drifted on the air. Faces around them reflected her own quiet joy. Adding to the enchantment, the sunset painted the sky in streaks of pale velvet, an extraordinary, ephemeral masterpiece. Ilara slipped her phone out, capturing the view, then turned impulsively to snap a picture of Matteo against the dramatic backdrop. He grinned, then politely asked a nearby stranger to take a photo of them both, ensuring the glorious canal filled the frame behind them. As the kind man obliged, Matteo casually draped an arm over Ilara's shoulder. Their slightly self-conscious smiles drew a chuckle from the photographer. "A handsome couple," he commented, returning the phone before moving on. Matteo winked at Ilara, snapping one last picture of her against the fading light. "The best one yet," he declared. Pocketing her phone, they watched the last embers of daylight extinguish in the sky. Truly, Ilara thought, the most beautiful scene she had ever witnessed. Romance wasn't just in the air. It was the air. As darkness claimed the sky, lights began to prickle in the windows lining the canal, their reflections shimmering on the water's surface. Spectral mists curled upwards from the inky depths, veiling the bases of the grand buildings in mystery. "I could stand here forever," Ilara whispered. "I don't think anything else in the city could possibly top this." Matteo nodded in understanding. "I don't blame you. The Grand Canal, it's the true heart of Venice." Finally, they turned from the railing, arm in arm once more. Descending the steps, they stepped off the bridge and back onto the calle. Above, stars began to pepper the clear night sky. Matteo led her towards a quaint restaurant tucked onto a corner overlooking the water. He'd already reserved a table, he mentioned casually. The one in the back, with the best view. They settled into their chairs just as a waiter approached with a cheerful "Buonasera" and handed them menus. As he retreated, Matteo leaned in conspiratorially. "This place is authentic," he whispered. "Not one of the tourist traps." Ilara laughed. "Good thing I'm dining with a local then." Perusing the menus, she asked for his recommendations. He scanned the pages thoughtfully. For antipasto, he decided. The fritto misto, mixed fried seafood, is superb here. And for the main course, you must try the risi e bisi. It's a Venetian classic, rice and peas. Almost like a risotto, but unique. The portions, he warned, were generous. They agreed to share. The waiter returned, swiftly noting their choices. It was, Alara reflected, a perfect evening. A cool breeze stirred her hair, carrying the briny scent of the canal and the distant murmur of voices and laughter. Dinner arrived, and each bite, Alara declared, surpassed the last. Conversation flowed effortlessly between them. A natural rhythm of shared stories and easy banter. Time seemed to dissolve, unnoticed. Too soon, the waiter reappeared, gently informing them it was nearing closing time. Mateo settled the bill. Sensing Alara's faint disappointment that the magic might be ending, he reached across the table and took her hand. A smile touched his lips. "Here, in this city of canals and mist," he said softly, "the night is only just beginning. It's the perfect time for that gondola ride." Relief and fresh anticipation surged through Alara. The adventure wasn't over. Another chapter awaited. They stepped out of the restaurant's warm glow and ambled along the canal's edge. And there it was, sleek and black against the shimmering water, a gondola waiting just for them. The perfect coda to a perfect first date in the city of romance itself. As they settled into the cushioned seats, Alara registered the gentle rhythmic lapping of water against the ancient stone walls. Then, as the gondola began its silent glide down the dark canal, the gondolier, true to Mateo's promise, began to sing, his voice a melancholic, beautiful melody that seemed to rise from the water itself. A profound sense of peace washed over Alara, serene and calming. She looked across at Mateo, his profile silhouetted against the reflected lights, and smiled. "Thank you," she murmured, "for the most romantic Venetian adventure." The gondola carried them deeper into the night, away from the lights and laughter, into the quiet heart of the floating city.